One thing that frees up the most energy that you might ever experience in your 9 to 5 job is acknowledging where your 9 to 5 job does not feel authentic to you. I just completed a podcast episode on capacity for people who own their own businesses, and people who have a 9 to 5, don't worry, I did not forget about you either. In some ways, it's a little bit more challenging to be able to implement authenticity in a 9 to 5 job. And that's because the work environments we experience can be varied. So this kind of podcast episode is really going to be focused on what you can do as an individual to begin to explore what it means to have a more authentic experience in your 9 to 5. Now, if you just got your 9 to 5 job to have a paycheck come in the door, that is likely the reason why you are feeling like there is not enough capacity at the end of your day or during your work day to do quality work or to do things that you love outside of work. Compromising your joy for a paycheck is the most exhausting thing you can do. Why? Because you never quite feel safe or comfortable in the role that you're in. You're always putting on a mask and putting on airs to appear to be interested, to appear to be committed to the cause, to the organization, to the company that you're working in, even if that's not the case. And there is nothing more exhausting than pretending. And you're likely pouring a lot of energy into keeping up this appearance that you actually care when you really don't. Now, remember, your career isn't something you can just put on and take off at any given point in time. You're committing 40 hours a week at least to these places that you're working in, and any amount of inauthenticity can begin to slowly chip away at your soul, at your being, at your creative spirit, and also at your hope for something better, not only for you, but for the world around you. I am very clear about this point because a lot of people make this sacrifice for any type of job. A lot of people compromise their own interests, their own passion, their own talents, their own growth, their own hope to be able to have a paycheck. And I just want you to know that this is not the way your life has to be. There are jobs out there that you can find that are more aligned, that can really highlight your unique gifts and skill sets more acutely than the environments that you're in. And it is your job to find a space that suits you. This in some ways is an act of self-care, it's an act of dignity, and it's an act of committing to yourself to really and truly show up in the best way possible for you. Right now, I'm reading the memoir of Keke Palmer. I absolutely love her. And if you had a chance to read the memoir, then let me know. So far, I think it's great. I'm only about a chapter or so into it. But one thing she shares is basically this idea of creating a table if a table isn't already set there for you. Now, for me, as a Black person who has worked in predominantly white institutions, being a minority can have an incredible impact on your capacity, making it harder for you to show up authentically because you have to fit into the environment around you. It can make you feel like you have to wear a mask. That naturally brings you away from your authenticity and can really drain your capacity in time. Why? Because you're always condensing your self-expression to fit into a box so that you can be recognized in a system that never really wants you necessarily to be there in the first place. And of course, I'm not saying this about every single workplace with every single diversity initiative. I do believe that some companies really do it right. But with that knowledge, what I will challenge you to do is to find the places that do it right because you acknowledge that not being in a space that actually cares about you is having a negative effect on you. And if you need help in doing this, definitely come into the Praxis program. That's a really great place to start. There we focus a lot more on workplace well-being, healing burnout, what it means to create capacity and generate energy so that you can begin to do work that you really love in a more beautiful and heart-centered way. Now, the alternative to doing that is making your own table. It's in building your own business, your own environment where you can truly and deeply thrive. So the final piece of capacity when you're working a 9-to-5 job is this idea of working in a way that matches your natural and authentic expression. And spoiler alert, 9 times out of 10, I see a lot of my clients really dampen their own natural leadership ability and the amount of power they would would like to hold professionally so that they can acquiesce to the culture or expectations of them within a 9-to-5 job. So if you already know you like the work environment you're in and you know that you feel comfortable around the people that you're working with, where are you playing small? Where is your perfectionism or imposter syndrome coming in the way of you being able to express yourself meaningfully and powerfully in the work environments that you hope to be in? Where are you turning out your own light? When I worked 9-to-5, I experienced this when it was challenging for me to use my voice because of the beliefs I held about the power of my voice. I did not believe that it was safe for me to express myself fully in this work environment. And so instead of really accessing the power that I know I had within, I played by the rules of the systems and structures around me. And ultimately, it made my job really, really suck. I felt tired all the time in that role, and I felt like I wasn't really reaching my potential. And, people can tell, your coworkers and colleagues can tell when you're slacking, when you're not really buying into the company, energy, the company culture. And in time, this can really reflect poorly on your performance. So what I did is I really began to experiment with different ways of showing up in this environment that felt more authentic to me. I focused on building really concrete relationships with people who had the energy that I liked to have and that I wanted to have, and where I felt that that energy would be treated with a certain amount of dignity, respect, and care. So please feel free to comment what questions you still have about capacity, particularly in a workplace. I would love to answer them. I might do some more episodes on this because capacity is something I care about a lot. Your dwindling of capacity can be a symptom of burnout early on, and it also can just make your life and your world feel a lot smaller, and I'm committed to trying to offer support and help wherever I can there. All right, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star review and also take a screenshot of this episode and post it on Instagram and tag me once you do so. I have a special surprise if you do all of those steps, and I can't wait to talk to you there. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a beautiful day.